Jonathan Lynn's 1985 film Clue is a comedy parody of the whodunit genre set in the 1950s, where a group of unsuspecting guests is invited to the house on the hill by their blackmailer, a member of the House Un-American Activities Committee. I'm Alex from I Think I'm a Nerd, and this is one of my favorite films. I'm sure you've seen it too, but nonetheless, the man blackmailing them for their un-American activities gets murdered. The classic tropes of the whodunit unfold as the over-the-top personalities of the satirical American characters buffoon around the mystery. While the film's initial release in theaters was a commercial flop, with home video, television, and especially now with streaming, the film has gained a cult following that persists to this day. I'm sure you have seen or have been in your high school's production of its play adaptation, and I'm sure you have played the board game of which it's based on. Therefore, it is important to analyze what the film is telling its persistent audience. The film stands out for its overt political setting, however, its political messaging, which is both purposeful and a product of its time, is presently subtle. The film's characters are all either members of the government or work in Washington, D.C., making each of their connections with American values deeply connected to a political landscape. The film's genre allows these themes to reach a broader audience. This cult classic comedy is deeper than it seems. Clue effectively uses comedic satire of the whodunit genre to criticize corruption of the US government and military. To understand how a genre is parodied, it is first important to understand the elements and subjects of the genre that is being parodied. The whodunit is a style of detective mystery that surrounds the question of who's done it. They are complex character-driven plots where the identity of the perpetrator of a murder is kept secret until the end of the story. Typically, the story follows a detective or investigator who studies a case and must choose a killer out of a list of known suspects. Think Knives Out, Murder on the Orient Express, and The Usual Suspects. Political comedy satirizes people and events, allowing connections to the real world and the comedic story to comment on society. Parody of a genre shocks the audience by defying their expectations on a given story. Clue's use of parody is used to create political satire of the American government, and every character represents different parts of American culture. Everyone is revealed to have been being blackmailed for their un-American activities. In the scene in which each of their crimes are outed to the other guests, we get to see the reaction of every type of American, and their responses reflect the public's feelings towards these values. Each of the characters in the story represent a different part of Washington, D.C., and each of them is an exaggerated caricature of their respective stereotype. Professor Plum, the perverted and misogynistic member of the World Health Organization, was being blackmailed for the same reason he lost his medical license. He had sexual affairs with his patients while working as a professor of psychology. The use of his character criticizes the way the medical system preys on its patients. Mrs. Peacock takes undeclared bribes for her senator's husband, which is a clear critique of political bribery in the US. Miss Scarlet ran a brothel and Colonel Mustard was a customer. This is a critique of prostitution in America as well as a criticism of the leniency military men have surrounding their behavior. Colonel Mustard specifically makes fun of military through his oafish behavior as prevalent in this exchange.
Are you trying to make me look stupid in front of the other guests?
Don't need any help from me, sir.
That's right.
His character is supposed to represent how close-minded and unintelligent the military can be. Miss White was being blackmailed for the murder of her husbands, which is deemed un-American for her demasculization of her husband, which perpetuates a patriarchal agenda. Lastly, Mr. Green is being blackmailed for his homosexuality, which will be touched on more later. More interesting than their reason for blackmail is their responses to each other. Mrs. Peacock, the oldest person in the room, is the only one truly disgusted by Professor Plum's sexual affairs because older generations try to seem morally above others. Miss Scarlet is proud of her business, showing that women can be strong through their sexual power. Professor Plum supports Colonel Mustard's affairs because men's sexual desires come before their damnation of prostitution. When Mrs. White references that her husband had been found with his head and genitals cut off, every man in the room crossed their legs in discomfort. Throughout the whole film, every male character was scared of White in some small way. Men in American society are scared and intimidated by a woman in power, especially when a woman is uncharacteristically violent. Lastly, when Mr. Body provides weapons for each of the characters, the object they receive is a symbol of their sin. Miss Scarlet is given a candlestick, which is a symbol of romance and seduction. Mrs. White is given a hangman's knot, which symbolizes her status as a known killer. Mr. Green is given a lead pipe, a phallic symbol to mock his sexuality. Colonel Mustard is given a wrench, which represents his brutality as a war veteran. Professor Plum is given a revolver, which symbolizes his mechanical abuse of the system, or an even grosser metaphor. And Mrs. Peacock is given a dagger, which symbolizes her status as a backstabbing politician's wife. 5 more murders later, the end scene that reveals who the murderers are is an excellent example of how the filmmakers used the whodunit genre to make their political statements. While the film used a very interesting trick, where 3 endings were filmed and a different one was played at every screening in the theaters to play into the board game origin of the film, this video will primarily focus on the ending that on home release was title carded as, "But here's what really happened." By allowing multiple solutions to the murder mystery, it defies the whodunit genre, destroys all the evidence during the film, and takes the focus of the mystery and puts it on the comedy satire. 3 main revelations are made in the final ending of the film. Everyone killed someone, besides Mr. Green. Wadsworth was Mr. Body all along, and Mr. Green was actually an undercover FBI agent all along. The way in which every character had to do with one of the murders is reminiscent of Agatha Christie's famous whodunit novel, Murder on the Orient Express. Each character, with the exception of Professor Plum and Wadsworth, killed someone who was implicated in their crimes. By making each guest a killer, it comments that no one in American politics or culture is innocent. By making Wadsworth the stereotypical British butler, not only one of the killers, but the evil blackmailer, defies and plays into the murder mystery genre of the film. The unfortunate product of the film is the homophobic writing of Mr. Green, who was being blackmailed for his homosexuality. While he is never punished like the others, they made it a point at the end when he is revealed to be a good guy FBI agent to say that he is not actually gay with his line and final line of the movie,
"I'm gonna go home and sleep with my wife."
The character's queerness is only used to play for laughs, and otherwise is often forgotten. During the film's 1950 setting, the Lavender Scare registered queerness as a crime, where there was an organized mass layoff of gay people from the US government. During the 1980s production of the film, moral judgment was cast onto non-normative sexual behavior due to the fear surrounding the AIDS epidemic. With both the accurate homophobia of the Clue's setting and the prejudice within the year of the film's production, Mr. Green's character is handled poorly. The film criticizes these behaviors by either explicitly punishing them or treating them as a joke. The only reason Mr. Green isn't revealed to be a killer is because his crime of homosexuality is false. The film's messaging includes both universal criticism of the US, but also the unfortunate values of the era in which the film was produced. Clue portrays obvious villainous or taboo behavior from their characters. It is also a critique of capitalism. The film is set predominantly during the Red Scare, everyone turning on each other and looking for someone to blame, but as many of the characters say,
Communism was just a red herring.
The true villain of the film was the financial power behind everyone's decisions. Each and every murder is motivated by status, power, and greed. They want to kill Mr. Body because they believe it could relieve them of their financial struggles, and they kill the others to keep their secret. The film says that everyone in the United States government has a dark secret that they keep from the public to save face and keep their high status. Professor Plum and Miss Scarlet was scared of losing their job. Mrs. Peacock and Mrs. White didn't want a scandal, and Colonel Mustard didn't want to lose his wealth. Clue effectively uses comedic satire of the whodunit genre to criticize corruption of the US government and military. It is important to study the film's political messaging and the way people engage with the story because of its cult-like status in the popular zeitgeist. The film's use of political satire through the use of its exaggerated characters and genre parody through the reveal scene comments on American values. Each character represents a different aspect of American politics, and their actions in the film reflect what is wrong with American society. By engaging with this film and studying the meaning behind its writings, People can create their own political beliefs. Politics in comedy allows discussion through serious topics while being introduced to it in an easy-to-digest manner. It is important to look deeper into the ideologies portrayed in media and film, even when the genre it uses are seemingly only for entertainment. Clue may be an 80s comedy movie with A-list actors, but it is also a cleverly written critique of American culture and politics.
I said, take the right road. Well, you never do nothing to save your doggone soul.